Success has a strange way of fooling people. Every day the world shines a spotlight on young millionaires, young entrepreneurs, and young celebrities, creating the illusion that if success does not arrive early, it may never arrive at all. Social media only strengthens this belief, filling our screens with stories of people who seem to achieve everything before they turn 30. But history paints a very different picture. Some of the most respected, influential, and accomplished men spent decades struggling before anyone noticed their names. They faced rejection after rejection, watched others move ahead, questioned their own path, and endured years that looked like failure from the outside. Then, almost unexpectedly, everything changed. Their rise was not sudden because of luck. It was the result of a mind that had been shaped by years of setbacks, patience, and quiet growth. This raises an important question. Why do some men succeed only after 40, 50, or even later in life? Why do they often become stronger leaders, wiser decision-makers, and more resilient individuals than those who succeed much earlier? The answer is far deeper than hard work alone. It begins inside the human mind. Long periods of struggle change the way a person thinks, reacts, learns, and sees the world. Every disappointment teaches a lesson that quick victories often cannot. Every setback slowly removes unhealthy habits, unrealistic expectations, and the constant need for approval. Over time, these experiences build qualities that cannot be bought, rushed, or borrowed. They create patience where there was once frustration, confidence where there was once doubt, and discipline where there was once emotion. In many cases, delayed success becomes stronger because the person has already survived the difficult years before reaching the top. That is the hidden psychology few people talk about. In this video, you will discover why late success is often more powerful than early success, how years of failure can secretly prepare someone for extraordinary achievements, why emotional maturity becomes a greater advantage than raw talent, and what separates men who eventually rise from those who quietly give up along the way. You will also learn several psychological patterns that researchers and successful individuals have observed in people who bloom later in life, patterns that may completely change the way you think about your own journey. Some of these insights are rarely discussed because they challenge everything society teaches about success and age. The final lesson may be the most valuable of all, because it explains why reaching your goals later can sometimes become your greatest advantage instead of your biggest regret. So stay with us until the very end, because every section builds on the one before it, revealing a complete picture of why the men who succeed late often become the ones whose success lasts the longest. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy exploring psychology, human behavior, and the hidden forces that shape extraordinary lives, make sure to subscribe and join us for more videos that reveal the deeper truths most people never notice. One of the biggest psychological changes that happens in men who succeed later in life begins with a quiet realization. Approval is not as valuable as it once seemed. During youth, many men unknowingly build their lives around the opinions of other people. They want to be noticed. They want respect. They want praise from family, friends, coworkers, and even strangers. Every achievement becomes a way to prove that they are worthy. A promotion is not only about earning more money, it becomes a symbol of status. Buying an expensive car is not only about transportation, it becomes a message to the world. Even career choices are sometimes influenced more by social approval than personal purpose. This desire is understandable because human beings naturally seek acceptance. The brain rewards recognition with feelings of pleasure, making approval feel almost addictive. But there is also a hidden cost. When self-worth depends on applause, confidence becomes unstable. A compliment can lift someone's mood for an entire day, while criticism can destroy it within minutes. Success feels temporary because it always requires another achievement to keep the approval coming. Men who eventually succeed later in life often spend years chasing this cycle until repeated disappointments slowly break it apart. They work hard but receive little recognition. They make sacrifices that no one notices. They watch less experienced people move ahead while their own efforts seem invisible. At first, this feels unfair. Then, over time, something unexpected happens. They become tired of seeking permission to believe in themselves. They begin asking different questions. Instead of wondering whether people admire them, they start wondering whether their work has meaning. Instead of trying to impress everyone, they begin focusing on becoming better than they were yesterday. Their attention shifts from external applause to internal purpose. This is one of the most powerful psychological transformations a person can experience, because confidence that comes from purpose cannot easily be taken away. It no longer depends on likes, compliments, promotions, or public recognition. It grows quietly through discipline, consistency, and personal standards. Many people never reach this stage because they stop trying after rejection. Late bloomers often reach it because rejection becomes so common that it loses its power. Once approval is no longer the goal, freedom begins to replace anxiety. Decisions become clearer because they are no longer filtered through the opinions of others. This freedom often becomes the foundation for future success, even though very few people recognize it while it is happening. The next transformation is equally important. Most people experience failure as a judgment about who they are. One failed business becomes proof that they are not smart enough. One rejected application becomes proof that they are not talented enough. One difficult year becomes proof that they have fallen behind forever. The mind easily turns temporary events into permanent identities. This is why failure hurts so deeply. It is not just the loss of an opportunity. It becomes a personal label. Men who succeed later in life gradually stop interpreting failure this way, not because failure becomes enjoyable, but because repeated setbacks reveal another truth. Every mistake contains information. Every disappointment exposes a weakness that can be corrected. Every rejection points toward a lesson that was previously invisible. At first, these lessons are difficult to see because emotion blocks clear thinking. Anger, embarrassment, and frustration consume attention. But after enough setbacks, emotional reactions slowly become less intense. The mind begins asking practical questions instead. What went wrong? What pattern keeps repeating? What skill is still missing? This simple change transforms failure from emotional pain into useful feedback. A man who thinks this way no longer wastes months blaming himself. He studies his mistakes. He adjusts his strategy. He becomes more patient with the learning process. Every unsuccessful attempt quietly prepares him for a better one. The outside world still sees failure, but inside his mind, progress is taking place. This explains why some men appear to improve dramatically after years of struggle. Their failures were never empty losses. They were collecting experience while others were collecting comfort. The lessons learned through repeated setbacks often become impossible to replace because they were earned through real consequences instead of easy victories. As these experiences continue, another remarkable shift begins to develop. Identity slowly separates from achievement. Many people introduce themselves through their profession, income, job title, or accomplishments because these things provide a sense of certainty. When life removes those achievements, many also lose confidence because they no longer know who they are without success. Late success men often face this challenge long before they become successful. They experience years where nothing impressive appears on paper. Their plans fail, their careers stall, their dreams take longer than expected. During this period, they are forced to answer a difficult question. Who are you when nobody is celebrating you? The answer cannot be found in money or status because those things are missing. Instead, identity begins growing from deeper qualities such as discipline, honesty, responsibility, curiosity, resilience, and personal values. These qualities remain even during failure. This creates emotional stability that is difficult to understand from the outside. A bad year no longer destroys their confidence, because confidence is no longer attached to results alone. They can lose a business without losing themselves. They can experience rejection without believing they have no value. Their self-worth becomes more stable because it is built on character instead of circumstances. Ironically, this emotional strength often makes future success easier because fear of failure no longer controls every decision. They become willing to take calculated risks because their identity will survive regardless of the outcome. This naturally leads to another quality that modern society rarely celebrates but quietly rewards over long periods of time: patience. Today's world encourages speed in almost every area of life. Fast careers, fast money, fast relationships, fast recognition. Every delay feels like a sign that something is wrong. Constant comparison makes people believe they are running out of time. This pressure causes many to abandon worthwhile goals before those goals have enough time to grow. Men who succeed later often develop a completely different relationship with time. Years of waiting teach them that meaningful progress usually happens slowly. Important skills require repetition. Strong reputations require consistency. Lasting businesses require years of careful decisions. They stop expecting immediate rewards because experience has shown them that the best results rarely arrive quickly. This long-term thinking becomes a powerful competitive advantage. While others jump from one opportunity to another searching for quick success, they continue improving the same skills day after day. Their progress may appear invisible for years, but invisible progress is still progress. Like the roots of a tree growing beneath the ground, the most important development often cannot be seen until much later. When results finally appear, people describe them as overnight success, even though the foundation was built through thousands of quiet days that nobody noticed. Patience does not mean waiting without action. It means continuing to act even when rewards are delayed. This mindset allows late bloomers to outlast people who rely only on excitement and motivation. Perhaps the most overlooked psychological change of all is emotional control. Repeated disappointment teaches lessons that comfort never can. Early in life, setbacks often trigger frustration, anger, panic, or self-doubt. These emotional reactions are natural, but they also reduce the ability to think clearly. Decisions made during emotional storms are often impulsive. A person may quit too early, argue with the wrong people, or abandon years of effort because one difficult moment feels unbearable. Men who experience long periods of struggle slowly develop a different response. Instead of reacting immediately, they begin observing their emotions before acting on them. They realize that feelings are temporary, but decisions often create permanent consequences. This small psychological habit changes everything. Pressure no longer creates panic. Criticism no longer destroys confidence. Unexpected problems become challenges to solve rather than disasters to fear. Emotional maturity gradually becomes more valuable than raw intelligence because knowledge alone cannot guarantee wise decisions. A highly intelligent person who cannot control emotions may repeatedly sabotage opportunities, while a calm and emotionally balanced person often makes steady progress even with average talent. This explains why many late success men appear remarkably composed during difficult situations. Their calmness is not natural talent. It is the result of surviving enough disappointment to understand that panic has never solved a single problem, while patience and emotional control often open doors that force alone never could. Another psychological change begins to appear after years of struggle, and it has very little to do with money or career. It changes the way a man sees people. During the early years of adulthood, trust is often given too easily. Kind words sound sincere. Big promises seem believable. A person who offers support is quickly accepted as a true friend. This happens because experience is still limited. Many younger men judge people by personality, confidence, or appearance rather than by consistent behavior. But long periods of struggle slowly remove this illusion. Difficult seasons have a unique way of revealing character. When success disappears, attention also disappears. The people who once celebrated every small achievement suddenly become distant. Some friends stop calling. Some relatives become silent. Others only appear when they need something. At the same time, a few unexpected people remain loyal without expecting anything in return. This contrast teaches a lesson that cannot be learned from books. Words are easy to give. Loyalty is expensive. Men who succeed later in life often become excellent judges of character because they have watched people change under different circumstances. They no longer become impressed by confidence alone. They pay attention to consistency. They notice whether someone's actions match their promises. They observe how people behave when there is nothing to gain. This makes them more selective with relationships. They stop trying to keep everyone happy because they understand that not every relationship deserves equal energy. Their circle often becomes smaller, but it becomes stronger. They invest their time in people who encourage growth instead of creating distractions. This change protects their emotional energy and allows them to focus on meaningful goals instead of unnecessary drama. It also explains why many successful men later in life appear calm and private. They are not antisocial. They simply understand that peace is more valuable than popularity. Every difficult experience has sharpened their judgment until trust becomes something that is earned instead of freely given. As this wisdom grows, another heavy burden begins to disappear. The constant need to compare life with everyone else's timeline slowly fades away. Comparison is one of the greatest sources of anxiety in modern life. Every day there are endless reminders of people buying homes, building businesses, traveling the world, getting promoted, or becoming famous at younger ages. The human brain naturally compares itself with others because it wants to measure progress. The problem is that these comparisons rarely tell the full story. They only reveal visible success, not hidden struggles. Many men spend years believing they are falling behind simply because someone else reached a milestone first. This belief creates pressure that leads to frustration, poor decisions, and unnecessary self-doubt. Late bloomers eventually begin to see life differently. After enough years of chasing impossible timelines, they recognize that every person's journey follows a different path. Some people achieve financial success early but struggle with relationships later. Others build strong families before building successful careers. Some spend years developing skills that eventually create lasting success, while others enjoy quick victories that disappear just as quickly. There is no single schedule that guarantees a meaningful life. Once this truth becomes clear, comparison slowly loses its control. Attention shifts away from competition and returns to personal growth. Instead of asking whether they are ahead of someone else, late success men begin asking whether they are improving compared to last year. This simple change creates remarkable peace of mind. Energy that was once wasted on jealousy becomes available for learning, practicing, and building. Their focus becomes deeper because they stop watching everyone else's progress. They become more patient with themselves and more respectful of the process. This psychological freedom is often invisible from the outside, but internally it changes everything. Progress no longer feels rushed. Every small improvement becomes valuable because it belongs to their own journey rather than someone else's expectations. Over time, this new mindset develops into a form of confidence that is very different from the confidence people usually notice. Most people think confidence is loud. They associate it with constant talking, showing achievements, seeking attention, or proving superiority. But confidence built through hardship rarely behaves that way. Men who succeed later in life often become quietly confident because they have nothing left to prove. Their confidence does not depend on applause or admiration. It comes from surviving situations that once seemed impossible. Every obstacle they overcame became evidence that they could handle future challenges as well. This creates inner certainty rather than outward performance. Quiet confidence speaks through actions instead of words. It remains steady during criticism because it has already survived rejection. It remains calm during failure because failure has become familiar instead of frightening. It does not panic when others disagree because personal value no longer depends on public approval. This kind of confidence often earns greater respect than loud confidence because people naturally trust those who remain composed under pressure. Anyone can appear confident when everything is going well. Real confidence becomes visible when plans fall apart, opportunities disappear, or unexpected problems appear. Men who have spent years rebuilding their lives develop this stability almost without noticing. They stop announcing every goal because they understand that results speak louder than promises. They stop arguing to prove they are right because they no longer need constant validation. They become better listeners because confidence allows curiosity to replace defensiveness. This quiet strength influences the people around them. Others begin seeking their advice because calmness creates trust. Leadership often grows from this emotional stability rather than from charisma alone. The strongest presence in a room is not always the loudest voice. More often, it belongs to the person who remains steady while everyone else reacts emotionally. Eventually, a moment arrives that many people describe as luck. An opportunity finally appears. A business begins growing. A promotion opens the right door. An important connection is made. A creative project receives recognition. From the outside, it may look like success arrived overnight. But what cannot be seen is the psychological preparation that happened long before the opportunity appeared. Success is not only about being in the right place at the right time. It is also about becoming the kind of person who can handle success when it arrives. Many people receive opportunities before they are emotionally prepared. They lack discipline, patience, humility, or resilience, so success quickly disappears. Late success men often experience the opposite pattern. They spend years developing these qualities before the opportunity finally arrives. Their minds have already been trained through disappointment, uncertainty, responsibility, and persistence. They have learned to manage pressure instead of being controlled by it. They know how to recover from mistakes without falling apart. They understand the value of consistency because they have practiced it for years without immediate rewards. When success finally reaches them, they are ready to protect it instead of wasting it. Their delayed journey becomes an advantage because the person receiving success is very different from the impatient individual they once were. They have become capable before becoming successful, and that difference often determines whether success lasts for a few months or for many years. Looking across all of these psychological changes reveals a powerful pattern. Late success is rarely just a delayed version of early success. It is often built on a completely different foundation. Every difficult year slowly replaces the need for validation with purpose. Every setback transforms failure into education instead of shame. Identity becomes rooted in character instead of achievements. Patience grows stronger than urgency. Emotional control becomes more valuable than raw intelligence. Relationships become healthier because experience sharpens judgment. Comparison loses its power as personal growth becomes the true measure of progress. Confidence becomes quieter but far stronger because it is supported by evidence instead of praise. Finally, opportunity meets a mind that has already been shaped by resilience, discipline, self-awareness, emotional maturity, and long-term thinking. These qualities are difficult to develop quickly, yet they often become the very reason success remains stable once it finally arrives, preparing the way for one final truth that many people only recognize after looking back on their entire journey. The greatest mistake many people make is believing that life follows a fixed schedule. They see someone becoming successful at 25 and quietly convince themselves that every year afterward is a step further away from their own dreams. But the human mind does not grow at the same speed for everyone. Some people learn their biggest lessons early. Others need years of setbacks, failures, and quiet battles before those lessons finally take root. There are strengths that simply cannot be developed through comfort. Patience cannot be rushed. Resilience cannot be borrowed. Emotional maturity cannot be purchased. These qualities are built one difficult day at a time, often during seasons when it feels like nothing is changing. Yet beneath the surface, your mindset is being shaped into something far stronger than quick success could ever create. The men who succeed later in life are often misunderstood. People notice the moment they finally rise, but they rarely see the years of discipline that came before it. They do not see the mornings filled with doubt, the nights spent questioning every decision, the opportunities that disappeared, or the failures that taught lessons no classroom ever could. What looks like delayed success is often hidden preparation. By the time opportunity finally arrives, these men are no longer chasing approval. They are no longer afraid of failure. They are no longer distracted by comparison. They have become patient, emotionally strong, and deeply focused. That is why their success often lasts. They were not simply waiting for the right moment. They were becoming the right person. So, if your journey feels slower than everyone else's, do not let